To news around the payment of social grants now, and Social Development Minister Susan Shabangu has met with traditional leaders to assure them that social grants will be paid. She also explained how the new card system will work. Let's get you more on this with reporter Erin Bates. Erin, thank you so much for coming through. So it was a meeting between Minister Susan Shabangu, Minister Zweli Mkhize, and some 20 traditional leaders. What prompted it? What was it about?
So, according to the Social Development press statement about this meeting and the subsequent briefing, is that there's been a lot of misinformation about these pay points, especially for cash social grants. And of course, where traditional leaders come in quite significantly in this is that a lot of these cash pay points are in very far-flung rural areas. And so they wanted to address misinformation about these pay points being closed without any alternative being made available. And Social Development Minister Susan Shabangu has emphasized that those cash pay points exist and will continue to pay social grants in cash. And in some cases, they are looking at nearby post offices or ATMs as alternatives, but they must be within a 5-kilometer radius of where grantees are receiving their social grants, because that's prescribed for in law.
But there's also an issue to do with the card that is being used, and it seems to have been more visible and sort of manifest itself more in provinces like the Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga and Limpopo. What's the issue with that card?
Yes, so what Dr. Mkhize and Social Development Minister Susan Shabangu raised today, along with some of the leaders from these traditional councils, is that people are exploiting the changeover from the old Grindrod cards to the new SASSA SAPO cards and giving people the wrong idea about the card swap. So exploiting this opportunity to either onboard people to the old Grindrod card, which is being phased out, or tell them that they need to get the Easy Pay card, which is not the case at all. And in fact, today the minister showed us the new SASSA SAPO card, which includes the Visa logo on it, as well as a government insignia, and emphasized that this is the right card, and anyone trying to foist other cards onto people is exploiting them. And this is again where they're hoping that the leadership of traditional leaders and their councils will be able to provide information to the public on the correct cards.
And Erin, all of this is important because, we're speaking here about a specific category of social grant recipient, those that receive cash. Some 2.5 million people we're talking about. What did Minister Susan Shabangu say about that and the role that traditional leaders can play in ensuring that those people are paid?
Well, they have a very significant role because they're at the coalface of many of these far-flung areas. And that 2.5 million people is significant because it's diminished from toward the end of last year. I've been reporting on these social grants and the switchover for some months now, and the number is diminishing because people are moving over either to private bank accounts or onto the new SASSA SAPO card. And that seems to be where some of this anxiety and confusion has come in about the pay points. But what the minister has emphasized is that for those 2.5 million people, if they're still receiving their social grants in cash, they will do so, and the pay points are still functional. The concern is that people are being misinformed or being told the pay points are going to disappear altogether, and therefore you must take this card, which actually they're sort of nefariously informing people is a SASSA card when it isn't.
Sure, there's always room for people who are unscrupulous to sort of exploit the system. Very quickly, just recap for us then, in terms of the current arrangement, what are the various methods in which payments can be made? I understand they include, from the last announcement, includes local shops and such establishments? Yes,
so there is quite a broad range of options for social grant beneficiaries, and anyone looking to find out information can phone a toll-free number, which is on the SASSA website. It's also in any sort of media pamphlets that you will find on SASSA. They are also on social media at official SASSA. So there are avenues for engaging with this arm of government to find out more information. But the options are the new SASSA SAPO card, which is being rolled out. The current SASSA Grindrod cards are eligible or sort of functional until the end of the year. But what the minister has said today is that people should not onboard, they should not elect to join the SASSA Grindrod cards now because they're being phased out. So people should be wary of that. Then they have the options of private bank accounts, which they may open. Of course, those incur bank fees, which are higher than the SASSA SAPO card, and there are conditions around those that people need to evaluate quite carefully. Or they can go to merchants, and that includes going to a supermarket with your social grant card. So those are just some of the options. There are more, and the information is available on the official SASSA website.
The evolution of the whole system will be interesting to observe in the coming months. For now, thank you for coming through. eNCA's Erin Bates there giving us an update on that situation on the payments of social grants.